That time I got reincarnated as a true dragon by NautyManu. Chapter 64. Help us Big Sister. The northern region, which is said to be the second most dangerous place in the cardinal world, is quite famous for its snowy climate. Apart from the god forest where you could find S-rank monsters like they were candy, the monsters you could find here are demonic in nature. This is because the first demon lord Guy Crimson claimed this entire region as his territory, making it a nest for the high-ranking demons to live. And since no one is holding back their aura, the magicules there have changed to suit their nature, which resulted in the monster mutation. Normally this territory is quite peaceful due to no demon daring to start any fights, fearing it would displease their progenitors. But today was unlike every day. The whole region was shaking with mini earthquakes from time to time. The clash of swords reverberated in the quiet surrounding, followed by an explosion and two insane laughters. Inside a barrier that failed to contain much of the destruction, two figures could be seen fighting each other. To the untrained eye they would look like two blurs of crimson and gold streaks. These two figures are Guy and Rudra. Every month Rudra would come to the northern region to challenge Guy for a duel, and today just happened to be that day. Ha 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 ha, Guy the first can feel it. Today is the day that I finally beat you, Rudra said as he brandished his sword Excalibur. Guy snorted as he said, "Hey, did you hit your head somewhere again, Rudra, or did you not get enough sleep since you are still dreaming?" "Hey, just watch me," Rudra said as he continued his assault. While those two were fighting with each other, their fiancés were having a lovely tea party at the side. As if they could have the luxury of doing that. Both Velzard and Velgrand had to constantly monitor the barrier so their idiots wouldn't destroy a whole continent with their fights. After all, not everyone is like their older siblings who could fix anything with a snap of their fingers. "Arg, this is getting annoying," Velgrand complained as she poured more of her energy to make the barrier more steady. Despite her immense love and devotion for Rudra, she really hates him for making her do this much work. "Tell me about it, these two just too much," agreed Velzard as she too poured her energy to stabilize the barrier. She too is fed up with this. At first she didn't mind it as Guy and Rudra are destined to have a grand fight, but these two dimwits didn't finish their fight. Due to them having a similar power level, their fights always end with a draw. Due to them being too strong, there must always be someone to maintain a barrier so they don't destroy everything. At first Misery and Rain were enough to maintain the barrier, but the further Rudra and Guy fought they both got stronger and more skilled. So after a few months both Rain and Misery were not enough. This prompted the two true dragons to intervene since there was no one who could do the job. And they hate this job. "Let's ask Big Sister to do something. Since this is technically her fault, she may give us a solution," Velgrand said. Velzard thought about it for a minute and agreed with her sister. Honestly, she wished she could just ask her older brother for help since he always agrees to anything, unlike Rimuru, who only helped them if it is absolutely necessary. Since they both came to an agreement, they decided to see Rimuru immediately. So both of them shouted at their respectable partners. "Guy, Rudra, I'm going to see Big Sister, so stop with your stupid fighting until we get back." After saying their goodbyes, both sisters left to the underworld, leaving a dumbfounded duo who was too shocked to even utter a reply. After both of them left, Guy and Rudra looked at each other with an awkward expression. They honestly don't know what to do now. If they continue fighting, a huge chunk of the cardinal world would be destroyed as a result. And they don't dare to fight without a barrier since they knew both of them have a hard time holding back against each other. "Hey Guy, do you want to play a round of Uno? I remember Rimuru teaching you how the rules work," Rudra asked, breaking the awkward atmosphere. "Yeah, why not?" Guy said, shrugging his shoulders. Underworld Rimuru's restaurant. It was a normal day at the restaurant. Many powerful people come to enjoy their time and chat with their friends. There was no lovey-dovey couple that made anyone jealous. In the reception counter, Rimuru and Seal sat on some comfy chairs as they relaxed. They had just finished taking everyone's orders. And since the number of visitors they came to the restaurant was less than usual, they're having a rare break. But their break time came to an abrupt end when two girls came through the front door. They, without even sending anyone another glance, dashed straight towards Rimuru. They both then said in unison, "Big Sister, you have to help us." Rimuru blinked in confusion at their words. Did they accidentally ruin Veldanava's honeymoon for them to look this desperate? Despite her confusion, Rimuru asked, "So what do you want my help with?" After that they proceed to explain the situation. They spoke about how both of their boyfriends were harassing them with their constant fights. Hearing this explanation, Rimuru's lips twitched. If she didn't know any better, she would have believed Guy and Rudra were overworking these two. But even so, those dimwits sure have the balls to say that their fight is because of the mission me and Veldanava gave them, Rimuru thought with a bit of annoyance. But even if she was annoyed at them for wording it like that, she didn't blame them too much for fighting each other. As someone who reached the peak, she knew how boring it could get if there are no opponents to test your skills with. Rudra and Guy are lucky in that aspect. So what to do to help everyone, Rimuru thought while brainstorming for idea to help everyone. Chapter 65. Crafting the Perfect Arena. Hey Seal, got any ideas? Rimuru finally asked Seal after not getting anything. Seal looked at her master with a deadpan gaze. She gave Rimuru a look that screamed, "Really?" Rimuru looked totally confused at her gesture. Seeing this, Seal sighed as she reminded her forgetful master. "Master, did you forget about the extra dimension you created to house Velgrand and Rudra's fight? From my calculations, that dimension is perfect for high-level battles." "Oh right, I totally forgot about that," Rimuru said, as she slapped her forehead in realization, her expression shifting to one of sudden recollection. "Huh, forgot about what, big sister?" Velzard asked as she looked at Rimuru curiously. "Huh, it's nothing. You guys go back for now. I will give you guys a solution in a week. And remember, don't dare to bother Big Brother for this," Rimuru said as she threatened them. She knew these two would likely go complain to Veldanava just because they couldn't wait a week. "Yes, big sister," they said as they left the restaurant. "So this is the place, huh?" Rimuru said as she observed her surroundings. She just teleported herself and sealed to the dimension Velgrand and Rudra fought. Looking with her universal perception, Rimuru was impressed on how much change a person's magicules could do in a dimension. Previously, this dimension had non-elemental magicules, but after the fight the magicules here have changed their properties to fire, light, holy and dragonic. This indirectly changed the entire environment of this dimension. Well, this dimension is quite small to begin with, so any small change could reshape everything. After marveling at her surroundings, Rimuru turned to Seal as she asked, "So Seal, do you think this place is suitable for high-level battles?" Seal shook her head as she answered, "Negative, master. Due to us not creating a solid foundation, this dimension would collapse after a few fights. But worry not, the situation can be fixed." That's true. We really didn't think much about this dimension at that time after all. "Well, let's just remodel it," Rimuru said after thinking about it. "Master, if I may conduct an experiment before we do any remodeling," Seal suddenly asked, making Rimuru a little curious. "Oh, that's interesting. So what are you going to do this time?" she questioned. Seal usually doesn't ask for permission when she is doing experiments. "From my analysis, it is estimated that a new being would spawn from the magicules that are left in the air. I want to observe this phenomenon and find out how this being is different from the ones Master created," Seal explained. "Huh, they have a difference?" Rimuru asked, shocked. "Yes, Master. For example, we could take Charybdis. He is far different from the monsters who spawned in the dungeon. But even so, they all are born from Veldora's excess magicules." "Now that you mention it, that is kinda true." Rimuru nodded after finding it reasonable. Unlike the monsters in the dungeon, Charybdis has a biology quite similar to the true dragons. "So how long do we have to wait for this person to spawn?" "If my estimations are right, we would have to wait for 2 more days," Seal said after thinking for a while. "And what are we going to do till then?" Rimuru asked in exasperation. Since they decided to come here, the restaurant would be closed for a few days. So they have some unexpected free time. Seal thought for a bit and then suggested, "Master, why don't we design how we would remodel this place? If we don't activate thought acceleration, we would be fine for a few days." "Well, sure, why not?" Rimuru shrugged as she brought a futuristic table from her inventory. With a snap of her finger, a table glowed and a 3D hologram of the entire dimension appeared. This is something Tempest managed to create before Rimuru's second reincarnation. After all, with the amount of rebuilding they had to do, the Dwarven Brothers' office was filled to the brim with papers. And Rimuru might have offhandedly said something about having a 3D model hologram is better. And after a few months this was created. Rimuru stretched her hands for a bit before she began her designing part. As a general constructor in her last life, she at least knew what to work with. "Hey Seal, why do you think about adding a long stadium to completely cover the surroundings? That way we don't have to worry about any misfires, as we could just place a barrier to keep the destruction in check, Rimuru asked Seal after drafting a simple plan. Seal observed her work before replying, "Master, that way is too restrictive. Not only would this structure allow someone with rich close combat experience have the upper hand, it will also restrict someone with only air or underwater combat experience." Dang it, I really didn't think about that. Well, this one is only a draft, so a little modification won't hurt that much, Rimuru muttered as she changed her designs. This went on for more than a few hours. Rimuru would draft a design and ask Seal for feedback. And Seal would point out some of the flaws, making Rimuru change it again. Finally, Rimuru couldn't take it anymore. "Ah, this is too damn complicated," she exclaimed, frustration evident in her voice. "Whatever I do, some people would be at a disadvantage." Sensing her distress, Seal stepped forward, her presence calming. "Don't worry, Master," she said reassuringly. "We still have another full day. Take your time to come up with a good idea. We've overcome challenges before, and we'll find a solution together." Her words carried a sense of confidence and support, easing Rimuru's troubled mind. Rimuru sighed, her thoughts echoing in her mind. "Yeah, Seal is right," she admitted to herself. "No need to get so worked up about this. It looks like doing everything in easy mode for the last few millennia may have affected my thinking." With a newfound sense of perspective, Rimuru felt a weight lift off her shoulders, realizing that perhaps she had been overthinking things.